Nintendo Switch 2 misinformation and lies are actually selling the system, and it's hilariously backfiring on the people that continue to push this nonsense that we're seeing, because now we actually have some sales numbers that are coming out, and Nintendo Switch 2 is absolutely dominating when it comes to historically compared to other systems, and of course continuing to have success when it comes to sales. So let's go ahead and talk about what's happening here and get the actual facts out there, because I've seen some ridiculous videos from people that can't just take an L and admit that they were wrong on their predictions on how this system was going to do. So what we have officially is that the system, according to Circana data, has sold 1.6 million in the US for the first month. Now, from what I understand, that doesn't include the My Nintendo Store sales, but don't quote me on that one. I'll make sure to double and triple check. But from what I understand, it doesn't include that, because we know in Japan that Famitsu does not include the My Nintendo Store sales, and that did really good in Japan as well. It's pretty much record breaking in Japan, record breaking here in the US. Now that is 500,000 units better, that 1.6 million, better than what the PlayStation 4 had here in the US. That was the previous record holder, so obviously that was well over a decade ago at this point. So that was a record that stood for quite some time. Now, when it comes to the best sellers with software, the MPD tracks this, and they don't have digital sales at all. They only track the physical sales for Nintendo platforms. Now, for PlayStation, they do give the data, but when it comes to Nintendo's top selling games, it's all just physical. Mario Kart World was #1, Cyberpunk 2077, the Ultimate Edition, was #2, and Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma was #3. Those were the top physical selling games. Now, Street Fighter 6, Hogwarts Legacy, and Bravely Default all made the top 10 as physical sellers when it comes to game keycards. And of course, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, in addition to Mario Kart 8 and Minecraft, round out the top 10. The whole talk about third-party games not doing well on Nintendo Switch 2, I think, was obviously incorrect at this point, as we have multiple third-party games between Bravely Default, Hogwarts Legacy, Street Fighter 6, Rune Factory, and Cyberpunk all in the top 10 for the first month when it comes to US MPD sales. And once again, that's just physical. That does not include the digital sales and everything. Not saying that those games sold like millions upon millions of copies, but it's not like nobody was buying them and everything's flopping, like that report tried to say, and then other content creators once again pushed out there. So it's interesting to kind of see this dynamic, because a lot of the people that are actually flat out lying or being dishonest for views, I actually think it's helping. The misinformation and lies are helping to sell the system. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of these people are spending so much time, energy, and effort on trying to sit there and say that this is terrible, this is this, and making up stuff. I think it's actually just putting out more people to research and understand the system. Nintendo never put out any type of estimates that they were going to have the best selling system in the US by hundreds of thousands of units before anything even happened. They also lowballed their own sales estimates according to multiple different analysts, only having around 15 million units sold in the first 10 months. So anyone who's trying to say differently or trying to insinuate that was different overall is just lying for views at this point, or just lying for money, really. I've got so many people that I spoke with saying, I saw all of the negative information, I saw what people were saying, and then I went and looked up some stuff, I looked at other people's opinions, and I went out there and got the system as soon as I could, or I bought it with Donkey Kong Bonanza, or I got the Mario Kart World bundle, or just saying that, hey, look, I saw one that was just randomly there, and I picked it up, because they researched more on what the system is, and researched exactly what you get out of the system. So, in my opinion, I think that I'm seeing a lot of these people that are putting out all of these videos, and I'm seeing a lot of people that are just making up stuff, not talking about legit criticism, because once again, legit criticism is okay. Mario Kart World being $80, don't like that, that's fine. Game key cards, that's fine. The legit criticism stuff is fine. The stuff that I'm talking about is the line and all that. And once again, I think that with so many of these videos that are getting such good views and people are putting it out there, along with the actual games coming out, like Mario Kart, like Cyberpunk, like Hogwarts, like Donkey Kong Bonanza, it's actually just getting people to just buy the system overall, because we have never seen anything like this. We haven't seen a system sell this good, and the online push, people talking about it constantly over and over. I mean, there is a saying, no publicity is bad publicity, and I think that in some sense that can be wrong, but in this case it's actually right overall, because nobody even really called the Nintendo Switch 2 doing this well out of the gate. So there's definitely some extra oomph behind the sales of this system outside of just what Nintendo has done. I mean, obviously it's a sequel, it's a clear follow-up to one of the best-selling systems of all time, so maybe you could attribute it to that as well. Switch 1, okay, now we have Switch 2. All right, this is a sequel to this thing that I liked, and I played all these games. So that's definitely a huge part of it, along with Nintendo's first-party games like Mario Kart World that has an 82% plus attach rate here in the US, according to Circana data. So that's obviously a big thing. And Donkey Kong Bonanza has been one of the best sellers on Amazon in multiple different regions, in addition to the eShop. Now at this point, and from what I understand from GameStop, Walmart, and other places, they're tracking Donkey Kong Bonanza incredibly high as well. So expect this game to sell millions plus overall just this year and help to push the Nintendo Switch 2. But yeah, I think that some of these lies and misinformation is just getting more people to actually research the system, look at the games, and talk about it, and go out there, ultimately end up buying it overall. So we'll see how things continue, but based off of what we've gotten so far when it comes to the stock allocations, what I can see at least on Target, Walmart, Best Buy, they're getting stock in, systems are becoming available, but people are snapping them up very quickly, and it's having a very healthy cycle. So that's what I want to see, man. I want to see systems doing well. I want to see systems succeeding when it comes to Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. So for me, I see this as a good thing, and I think that it's going to get way more people when it comes to third-party developers to invest into this system. So we're going to get more games from it, from the system doing so well. So what do you guys think overall when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 misinformation and lies? Is it backfiring when it comes to some of what these people are saying? Let me know in the comment section below. But before we get into the next topic, please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you are someone new, hit that like button, and click that notification bell to get my vids as soon as they drop, and let me know what you think is fueling the Nintendo Switch 2 to such hot sales starting out so far. So let's go ahead and jump into the next topic, and we're going to be discussing Final Fantasy Tactics Remake, because this game was actually rebuilt from scratch because the source code was lost. And stop me if you've heard this before from Square Enix, they seem to have lost a lot of the PS1 stuff. Not everything, but more than what you would want or expect, considering the same thing kind of happened with Final Fantasy VIII, apparently, where source code was lost or misplaced or damaged or something like that. So they had to like rebuild some of the things or reverse engineer. Looks like that might be the same thing here overall with Final Fantasy Tactics, and maybe the reason why it took so long for the game to come out. So this is from director Kazutoyo, and he served as the event planner on the original game, and he shared some more insight into the development process and some of the challenges the team faced. Now, according to him, the original source code of the game was lost due to common practices at the time. Quote, "This was simply a norm at the time," he explained. "We didn't have the kinds of effective resource management tools available today, and we developed games by essentially overriding the previous code each time we fixed a bug or added a new language. Although the team initially considered using an emulator for the project, they ultimately decided to rebuild the game from scratch. Quote, "The method wouldn't have allowed us to make granular refinements, even if the objective was to recreate the original game. After our analysis, we felt the best way to ensure the game met modern playability standards while staying true to the original was to rebuild it. It aims to deliver the classic strategy experience with enhanced visuals, updated UI, and quality of life improvements for a new generation of players." Shoutouts to Nintendo Everything for the write-up as well, and PlayStation Blog with the original interview. So yeah, this is kind of crazy that they would actually rewrite everything as they go along. And one of the reasons why you might not see a lot of PS1 games getting remastered or re-released or remade or whatever the case is based off the original code, because that's just how it was. It was archaic, it was a bit weird, and that's just what they did when it comes to Square Enix, because once again, this has happened before, and this might be the case with other PS1 games that people want to see come back, but Square Enix might be like, we don't really have it anymore. We're looking at what we want to do to bring this back. So I think that's part of the reason here. But Final Fantasy Tactics, it's a really good game. I'm glad that they actually decided to kind of rebuild it so they can add in all of those features and everything, and it's not just a one-to-one emulated version of the game. I think it works out that way, and ultimately it's going to be successful because they are focusing on the IPs with Final Fantasy and with Bravely Default and with Dragon Quest, the stuff that they know people are going to pick up. Pretty sure they'll have some risks here and there, but clearly they're going back to their roots and making sure that people are getting what they want. And people have wanted Final Fantasy Tactics for a very long time, so it makes sense to finally bring this one out. This game has been a long time coming overall from the original rumors from the GeForce Now leak, so I'm just glad that it's finally happening when it comes to the title, because I'm going to be picking it up and playing on the Switch too. So what do you guys think about Final Fantasy Tactics when it comes to the game and them having to rebuild it from scratch overall because they lost the source code? Let me know in the comment section below. But now we're going to move on to the next topic here, and it looks like we have a confirmed 2025 release date for one of the Nintendo Switch 2's big games with Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, because now the game has been rated in Brazil. Now, once the game is rated, that means it is content and feature complete. Everything that is going to be in the game is in there. They can look through it and say, okay, this is the game, this is what it includes, and this is what the listing's going to be. So it is complete. Now, before, Koei Tecmo and Nintendo had winter for the game, and winter starts in 2025, but it can actually stretch into 2026. So that's why I'm saying it is locked in, or it seems like it's going to be locked in with now the game being rated in July at this point. So I'm guessing since they rated it now, they are not going to take it to next year. It is going to be something that will drop this year. It could be the November game. People are asking what's going to be November overall, because Pokemon Legends ZA is October, and usually Pokemon games will go in November. Although Pokemon Legends games, none of those have been in November. Legends Arceus was a early 2022 game, so it's one of those things to where it's not always the case with Pokemon because Legends, but at the same time, that's what people are expecting. So it does seem like Age of Imprisonment will be a 2025 release, and it could be a November title. Now, it could be sooner than that, but we are running out of months in the year. We've pretty much blown by July, and August is coming up. So we still have Metroid Prime 4. Splatoon Raiders still might come out this year as well. You also have Kirby Air Riders, and now Age of Imprisonment. There's not a ton of months left in the year, and usually we don't get anything in December. Sometimes they might have that December game, but usually they like to have everything before the Black Friday shopping holiday period for people. But they could stretch that out. They could have another game. This could be December. This could be November, where they're going to put Metroid Prime 4 and where they're going to put some of these other games. So we'll see how that works out. Now, when it comes to Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, I'm really excited for this game because I loved Age of Calamity, but the problem with Age of Calamity was the frame rate was so bad at times. I didn't even want to go finish and do the DLC because the frame rate just wasn't good enough overall, just because it just kept on chopping up and everything. Now, the original game, I played through it. I like it. It's fantastic. It's really good. But once again, that frame rate was just a problem. Now with Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, from what we've seen already, they've smoothed out the frame rate. This game originally started on the Nintendo Switch 1, and then they said, oh, wait a minute, hold up, there's this Nintendo Switch 2 thing. When they found out about it, Nintendo let them know about it and gave them a development kit. They're like, yeah, we need to move this over because now we can actually put more stuff on here. We can actually put way more than what we want to do overall. So yeah, they left the Switch 1 behind, and that was a very good idea because the Switch 1 version is really rough. Even on the Nintendo Switch 2, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, with no patch, it runs at a locked 30 FPS on the Nintendo Switch 2, just running that original Switch 1 game. So that already tells you right there, Nintendo Switch 2 is significantly stronger overall, where the Switch 1 just had so many problems running that game. So I'm excited to see it once again in 60 FPS. I'm excited to see exactly how they combine some of the different aspects of Age of Calamity with some new stuff in the game. I'm really hoping that they kind of take a few pages or notes out of what happened with Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition and how great that game was with the extra side content, with all the other stuff that you can do with the adventure maps and all that. I think it'd be pretty cool if they had content like that in Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, which some of that did kind of come over with the DLC, but if it was in the base package, that would be great. But we'll see if they have DLC. We don't even know about that yet. We'll see what they do with the main story and everything. But yeah, I'm just really hoping that it really follows more of a line to where it's like canon, to where we don't have those questions and issues. I'm hoping that it's all set and the story is really good and people don't have to worry about stuff like that. But man, the Nintendo Switch 2 first number of months is shaping up to be exciting overall. There's a lot to look forward to when it comes to everything that we're talking here about. I've spoke so much about Metroid Prime and obviously Age of Imprisonment like we're talking about here. I think that there's going to be a lot of improvements across the board when it comes to the franchises that we all know and love. With this extra horsepower, Nintendo can do a lot of things, and and also the third-party companies that are working on games can do a lot of things that they haven't been able to do on a hybrid platform like this. So very exciting on that front. Now, getting back to Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, I think that if you take a lot of the different things that they did before the previous games, this game could truly be the best, I would say, Nintendo branded Warriors game. It definitely has a chance based off of what they've talked about before, having that 60 FPS right from the beginning. That would definitely be an update, whereas in previous games we had to wait for it. Only one where we didn't was Fire Emblem Warriors on the Nintendo Switch 1. So I think that this is definitely a good start, and I'm just really excited to kind of get into the gameplay and see what else they have for us with this title, and hopefully this year in 2025. So we will see with the game. But what are your thoughts overall with everything that we discussed here with the Nintendo Switch 2? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.